Hello, freelance. Alright, what's your heart telling you? People love the fountain, so I'm gonna let it be for now. You sure? Sometimes you need to let people in it.
The audio's all messed up, guys.
Freelance. And it's still pursuing it. Not freelance. Okay. I more so feel yeah.
We have lots of free, great wares. Or whatever she was gonna say. Oh. Do, 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 do. Yo. Weirdest entrance ever to a stream. There's like no one watching though, so you're good. No one saw your weirdness. What's up? Did you possibly want to see a movie at Cinemark? I have 3 tickets, is why. No. Energizer just made a 3. Oh, there's a new update for Red Dead. Mhm. Eighteen, 18,000 milliamp battery, I guess. For some reason, I thought it was 30,000. But it'll last a week, it's what it says. 3 days straight? Okay, now it's saying 3 days straight. 5 cameras that pop out when you need them. Come on, that is too much. 6.2-inch screens? Yeah. Yeah. 90-hour phone call on a single charge. Well, the iPhone, or Apple trouts a measly 21 hours for the iPhone X. It's like 21 hours on the fucking phone on the anyway. Like, who needs to do that long of a phone call unless you're like buried somewhere? You're trying to direct people, rescuers, where you are. Buried 10 feet below the snow. I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm calling you. You'll eventually see the snow melt from my cell phone, and my cell phone will crash. Yeah. Oh, and you can also charge other devices with it. N- Yo, the foldable, yeah, the fold one, that looks amazing. That's more than this phone. I think this is only 3,000. Yeah. Mm. But there's should be more efficient. Which they could have. in a sense, kept the same battery and gave it even more lifespan. But they wanted to keep the form factor small, I'm guessing, and they already probably packed in a lot more technology. Because the technology, I mean, the processor in that compared to the processor in the new one, probably the new processor is probably twice as strong and uses just as much, or maybe even like 20 or 10% less electricity, right? If anyone's here, um, say hi, and I'll send you $2 on Cash App. It's just $2. It says there's two viewers here, but I don't know. Are you guys gonna say hi? Maybe you guys have been saying hi, and I just can't see it because of the chat thing. Because I have this on, and it's waiting for new messages. So I might have the job interview later today, but then my cousin's like stopped talking to me for a sec. Because I guess the guy was supposed to, we were supposed to leave at 2, but it's already almost 3. But the guy's already kind of been flaky. I don't mind, like, if he's flaky, as long as I can get the job. Oh yeah, no, that one actually a lot of people are going to see. Oh, but it's been the one of the movies that's been highly anticipated for over a year and a half, 2 years almost. I heard it on Doug Love's movies like 2 years ago. Like, yeah, it's critics. You have to remember the critics are watching an anime thing. They don't use the same critics for everything. A lot of those places will use a random critic, a random like they have like 67 critics, and they'll assign like 20 random critics will do the movie. So it's not all 67 critics watching the movie. It's like 20 random ones, and some of them might be like horror movie fans and not and action movie dislikers. So it's like they all paint the review with their own personal views, you know? Leonard Maltin did the same thing. Leonard Maltin, if you look up, he has a Leonard Maltin book you can look up, and it's basically a book of movie reviews that he's done, and people that he has hired has done. You know, it's like, oh, I don't like these type of movies, so I'll hire people that are good at those movies, you know, experts at those movies, and watch them and review them. You know, he made like at least like a good amount of his reviews though. Like most of his reviews in this book and the now defunct app is were basically his reviews and his opinions. I think maybe like 25-30% of them weren't him. And then he also has the Lennon Malton's classic movie review guide, where it has 150 of the world's classic movie. I probably got the title wrong, but it's 100. I think it involves 150 in it, but it's 150 movies that he considers classics that people should watch, with his reviews on them and whatnot, runtime. And the one thing that he does is on Doug's Love Movies, Doug likes to use his book because he used to play a game with people where back then with a bunch of comics they would just pick a random page, look up the random movie, and have people try to guess how many if they can name names in the movie. Let's say you can name it in 5 names. That means you're picking the 5, and there's 13 names, let's say. Order of billing, highest to lowest. And you say you can name it in 5. By that you mean you can name it in 5 of the lowest names. If someone gives you 5 of the lowest names, you should be able to name that movie. And then some people go, "Oh, I can name that movie. Oh, I think I know what movie you're talking about based off what he said in his review." or based off the clues you gave, because sometimes the review gives too much, and they'll be like, okay, this year, this theme, and he said, and Leonard Maltin said this about it. I can say that in negative 5 names. It's like, what? You mean I can give you, I can name the movie without getting any names from you, and then name the top 3 actors in order.
Oh,
Yeah,
as if you're like super like what do
movie
you
buff.
call it? Yeah, movie buff. Yeah.
Cinephobe, cinefic, There's a something called cinephiliac. Uh, cinephile. It almost sounds like when I necrophilia, but it's like cinephile or some. We both know the words I'm trying to make, and we're trying to remember. But yeah, yeah, dude.
There are actually quite a few really highly rated movies in right now that I never really heard of.
Name one of the movies.
Cold War
Cold War.
or Zimnao Wojna.
Have not heard of those.
It's like a foreign movie.
So let's say they have How to Train Your Dragon, Battle Angel.
Shall Not Grow Old. Got really high rating.
Oh, the Lego Movie too.
Yep. Me too. Bumblebee.
Isn't it?
John Cena.
Isn't it romantic? Isn't that Chris Hemsworth? Isn't that one of the Hemsworth brothers?
Yeah, that does look like Hemsworth. No, it's
R-
like Rebel Wilson.
okay. Oh, the girl.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, dude. No, he like as soon as you look at a Hemsworth, you're like, yeah, that's a Hemsworth.
Yo.
What Men Want, which is about a lady that gets a bump on the head, and she's around the male-dominated world, and then she gets bumped on the head randomly, and she has the ability to read men's thoughts, the thoughts
So
of
like
men.
the reverse of what women want with Mel Gibson.
Yeah, basically what men want.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. And she's a black lady trying to basically go up in a corporate male world. Happy Death Day to You, which I'm surprised they made a second one. The first one was basically a girl that kept repeating the day she died, and it was her
Yeah.
birthday. And I don't know how it ended, but I'm guessing it ended. The Upside, which looks like a nice drama. Nicole Kidman, Kevin Hart, and Bryan Cranston. Looks like Bryan Cranston's in a wheelchair-bound position. Kevin Hart might be the guy who takes care of him.
Yep.
And
Which I
Nicole.
thought that got high ratings, but it only got mediocre.
I think it's because it's two comedians almost. Well, no, Bryan Cranston can make serious movies, shows, especially with Breaking Bad. That really broke him out of a lot of like
Malcolm in the
comedic
Middle
role
dad.
and stuff like that. Yeah, he's no longer the Malcolm in the Middle dad. He's the Malcolm in the Middle dad after he divorced his wife and left the kids and got a new wife and became a teacher.
Started cooking meth.
And then started and got cancer and got meth. Code Pursuit.
Glass is still out.
It's not showing at this theater though.
Oh yeah. You gotta check the theater.
There's a theater nearby that would have it. Or we can just buy it. Because in all honesty, we already own the first two.
Yeah. Right.
I heard terrible reviews for Glass too.
Yeah, I was just looking at that too.
But
It's probably not worth it.
but it is worth it to buy it. I mean,
But
no, think about it this way. We go see the movies now. It'd be cheaper for me to go see the movies now because I can use my free ticket from Cinefilm and one of my tickets, and then we can pay for a ticket. It's Tuesday, so it'd be $6 anyway.
oh, that's right.
So we could just pay full price.
Yeah.
and save the ticket prices.
Yep. The full-on
But we would
ticket
have to
fee.
buy it now. We'd have to buy it online right now
Uh-huh.
just to make sure we're okay.
Gotcha. This popular streamer that she's kind of known for having like big boobs and stuff like that, and just being like one of those boob streamers. Kind of. She was
BoobTuber.
one of the first, but she also plays games and stuff like that too. But apparently she does a fan service Friday thing, and then now she's getting into weird stuff like, oh yeah, I'm gonna suck this dildo for fan service Friday or something like that for all my fans.
You
And
can't do that on Twitch.
I don't know how she does it,
Dude, no,
but yeah.
she uses like a different site. Like, hold on one sec. Alright. Yeah. Um. Fuck. I'm just trying to see what my cousin was. What's up with my cousin? Because if he postponed, it's great. If he didn't, then I have to wait. Oh, I downloaded. Oh, well, apparently, in order to do virtual machines on your computer, you at least need Windows Pro.
Yes.
I do have Windows Pro, and it asked me to yeah, and I just enabled Hyper-V, and yeah, I have virtual machine now. In theory, Daniel,
Those ones though, I messed around with those. Those,
Windows virtual machine.
uh-huh. It's and you have it enabled and stuff with your CPU.
Hmm.
Um, are a little more. You have more power, kind of, but they can be a little more unwieldy because you can't necessarily like plug in a USB thing or something like that
For that
directly.
specifically. Oh,
Yeah.
but Linus has a setup where he has literally everything connected to one server computer,
Hmm.
and that's what I want to do. And if we could figure that out on my computer before the 6, just connect your video card into this computer and take one computer up there.
Oh yeah, and split it.
Because your operating system would be a standalone, and if they're two different, I mean, you're using AMD basically, so we could basically virtual machine an AMD and set half the cores down because I have what 6 cores? No, 8 cores. 8 cores, 12, 16 thread, 4 cores each, 4 thread. I mean, eight threads total, simulating a decent, mediocre. Uh,
Yeah, that's and they're fast enough cores as well. It was a pretty decent. Like most computers are still 4 core 8 thread.
yeah, I looked up some laptops for my for Yogi,
Hmm.
and it looks like a good laptop would cost him about between 12 to 1600. i7 processor and a 1060 or 1060 Ti, either one of those two. Anything with a 1080, 1080 Ti, and 1070 are pretty expensive. But if I can do what I'm doing, if Sean can clip videos and play games on his, and all he's gonna need to remove the bottleneck is upgrade his CPU from whatever it is now to an i7.
Uh-huh.
But then I told him, hey, isn't there an i9 now? And
Yes.
he says, I don't want to talk about that.
Uh,
And I was like, yeah, no, I get it. The i9s are probably fucking expensive. I looked at i7, I'm like, oh, 460, 468, that's not bad. But like, I mean, honestly, with Intel, but then I'm like, oh wait, is that 2 generations older, or is there no i8? There's only i7 and i9s, right?
yep.
i5, i7, i9, i3.
Yep. For some reason, they just skip that number each time. And really, almost those numbers are almost pointless now at this point.
The name should always, in my opinion, for a processor, tell you the generation
Yeah.
minimum, like the Ryzen 3s. It's like, oh, 3, Ryzen family, third generation. You know,
Should. But yeah,
Ryzen
even
2000.
they copied Intel's because they wanted to
Yeah,
make it. Because Intel, since they've been a market leader for such a long time, Ryzen's like, oh, well, how people are going to understand our product? Well, we'll just copy Intel. So
yeah.
they have the R3, the R5, the R7.
But then the numbers for the processors too. What? Ryzen. Fuck, I can't remember any of the numbers. 1700. Anything in the 1700s, anything in the thousands, you at least know it's a first gen. Anything in the 2000s, it's a second gen. And then there's the 22Gs, the 2000 Gs, which are more the APUs.
Yep.
And at least they give you like you at least know when there's a G on there. At least you know it's an APU opposed to a regular CPU.
Yeah.
And then the newest ones are gonna be 3000s.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, no, I like that numbering scheme, and I like the at least the little symbols that they add on, like, okay, G, okay, good, good, it's for this. Oh, M, okay, mobile. I think most of the Gs I mean, the 3000s that they released were for laptops, non-consumer editions,
Yep.
like consumer made but non-consumer purchasable.
I think so so far.
Which,
Which I can't wait for them to come out for consumer.
which aren't they just really good APUs?
So far,
Like, are they well? What's the difference between those and the other APUs?
well,
Like, isn't it the same size and everything, or did they shrink? Because I thought they shrunk on the graphics cards, not on the CPUs yet.
they have shrunk on the CPUs somewhat.
Would it?
This one's the next big shrink.
So basically, but it still would be backwards and forwards compatible because it's AMD, of course.
Yes.
But okay, so it's a different die shape though. So meaning maybe the next generation may not support this generation. I mean, my generation, in a sense. Well, I'm sure they're always really good with backwards and forwards, like a few
Yeah, it's
generations.
the same socket. They say that they'll support AM4 socket at least until 2020.
It's just until they're just shrinking the dies on the inside, basically. Okay.
Exactly. And then just packing more little, transistors in there.
Every time I think about die shrinkage, I always think about socket change. Is what I don't know why. It's like every time I hear shrinkage, I'm like, okay, they changed the socket, right? It's like, no, no, it's the same. Okay, that's one of my weird questions. But then you can still backwards and forwards compare AM4
Yep.
with AM3 plus.
Well, no. That's a different socket.
Oh, I thought you could. I thought you could do AM3 plus.
No. That one is such a different socket that you can't do it.
Wow, it's the first time they actually put a wall.
Yeah. Well, because it'd been such a long time, almost like 10 years or something like that, since AM3 Plus was a big thing. So they're like, completely new, but we're going to support this one for a long time. At least for 4 years, basically. It's a completely new, radical design of the whole thing.
Okay, but they're gonna try still using AM4s for the next thing, is my guesstimate. Because like, I mean, how can you keep improving a socket? Honestly, there has to be a bottleneck on how much you can improve a socket so much. before you increase the size or somehow shrink the size down
Exactly.
and add more socketing points so it's like more connections, so more quicker processor. Or I don't know, something like that.
To change it up, I don't know. I think that's the original reason why, maybe. But then AIM or Intel seemed to be doing it just for money.
Oh yeah,
Like
no,
even the last two, they had Skylake, Kaby Lake, Coffee Lake, and then what we're at now,
all the same family,
Ice Lake.
right?
They all use the same number of pins, but Skylake and Kaby Lake, the sixth and seventh generations, used 1151, I think. That's the number of pins they had. Also, the two newest generations also use that, but they usually do the die shrink, and then they do the refresh of it, and then they move on to a completely brand new socket. This time, the socket didn't change in size or number of pins, but they said it was the voltage of the pins that changed. So they still made people have to change their motherboard.
I heard that you could. There was a thing about you could actually do some modifications and get an older, the new processors on an older motherboard.
That was rumored for a while. And
And
there is a Chinese motherboard that is a newer one that can use the older ones that goes
hmm,
online as Tech Tips. But I don't know if anything's been proven where you can use like a sixth generation with a ninth generation.
I think they proved that you could, but there was like you're severely hampering your shit. I think. But I think the sixth gen wouldn't run as good as a ninth gen in it. I just remember seeing a video about people actually getting it to work. But I guess there was like, yeah, I don't know. Plus, with all the shit that they found out, Spectre and all the other flaws that they had to do patchings.
Yeah.
So all the older stuff anyway is gonna be slower
Which they did take that out of the newer ones.
because they were able to because it was a different architecture. But they couldn't just say, well, we're not gonna do an update for all the other old ones. They could have said that and said you should just upgrade instead of making us waste the resources to,
Right.
and that could have potentially pissed off a lot of customers. A lot of people with the money would have been like, okay, yeah, it's a good reason to upgrade. But
Yep.
then Intel is such high price. If AMD did that, people there'd be slightly less backlash. There'd be backlash, but slightly less because of the cost and price point of AMD compared to if Intel did that to you. And a lot of people that are diehard AMD fans won't mind doing that. I mean, they might like my main point of AMD is price point. It's cheap. It's cheap to get it in. It's cheap to use, and you just have to pay a little extra that you would, let's say, instead of getting a 6 core that you want, you're just paying the 8 core for still cheaper than what you would have paid for the 6 core of the other brand, but you're using an 8 core that uses slightly more power to try to keep up with the 6 core of the other brand. Now it's not like that as much. It's like I'm buying a 6 core for $200 cheaper or $100 cheaper, and it's just the same almost as the other one, but like maybe 10% difference in some aspects. Like literally plus 10 minus percent on everything that they do. Like it's either Intel's doing really well here or AMD's doing really well here, or just barely one of the others above the other. Just barely though.
Right. AMD keeps they're kind of staying in the game by pushing innovation too. Whereas Intel, they were perfectly fine with making just incremental changes every generation. So
Look,
it's like the people that want the fastest and the best, they're gonna pay that extra money.
look what they did with ray tracing. That is actually a marketing the world's evilest marketing plan in the world.
Well, that was Nvidia.
Well, Nvidia, but then they oh yeah, wait, shit. I always confused Nvidia with Intel for some reason.
Yeah.
But look at Nvidia then. Look what they're doing. They're basically changing any game that's played with that's like an Nvidia made game, well, backed game, where it says, oh, that whole it's the way it's meant to play. It's like I like that. It adds a little psychological thing to you because every time, oh bless you, every time you play an Nvidia based game with an Nvidia card, it feels good because the card's super compatible and there's a few extra features. Look at all the ray tracing features now. See, AMD will probably get something similar to that, but they don't have.
Ray tracing will be included.
But they're not gonna use it now because there's no reason to. There's only 2 games in the no 3 maybe 4 games now, maybe that are out released right now maybe that you could use, and
Exactly.
they're basically trying to change it up so that way if you let's say you use an AMD or an Intel video card instead of an Nvidia, it's gonna look a little bit worse in a sense if they don't have all the features. Since right now Nvidia is oh yeah we have ray tracing, so it's gonna look way greater on us because AMD is gonna implement it, but in a few years when there's more games and more of a market for it, it's like they can implement it now, but then they have to do all the research just to make it. I mean, just to add it in, and then just see, and then they might have to be like, oh well, we're already done with 50% of the code. We'll have to rewrite the whole code because we can't just add your code without adding a whole bunch of spaghetti stuff. So we're gonna have to just start everything from scratch, maybe when AMD came out with no when Nvidia came out with ray tracing. Basically, that's probably what kind of happened to them. It's like, oh well, we could add it now, but we would have to do this. It's not feasible.
At least this time, though, it's Nvidia pushing innovation.
Yes.
I mean, it's not exactly the innovation that everybody necessarily wanted or asked for. Not right yet, anyway.
Sorry.
But for so many things, it's been AMD pushing innovation. I think that's why they have a hardcore fan base. Because they're like, yeah, it's not just because AMD is cheaper, but it's because they're pushing the bounds of what is there. Like AMD were the first people to implement multi-core on a wide scale. Also, the first ones to do 64-bit on a wide scale. And those are both widely accepted now.
And
It's basically the
AMD did that?
standard. Yeah,
Okay. See,
because of AMD.
but that's also I think the problem with Intel is that it's not that they're not innovating, it's that they're the kings of the market, so they don't have a reason to. Oh, this guy is doing more. Okay, well let's release or let's see some stuff that we've had in the works and let them out. It's like, oh, we'll just impress these guys because we're constantly doing research. But it's like ray tracing has probably been in development for the last 5, 6 years, kind of thing,
By NVIDIA.
by Nvidia. And then again, I keep getting them confused, even while I'm talking. Uh, Intel, well, Nvidia is becoming the leader in the gaming market now, because a lot of things are GTX now. Like
Yep.
almost everyone I know does not use a AMD based video card.
Yep.
Like very few now. Some have like the 590,
Uh huh.
and that's about it. Because that's the newest one for 1440.
Yep. This good value. It wasn't until even let's see, right around like when the two nineties and stuff like that were being released, like Nvidia, especially in the high end, was just pulling further and further ahead, and then they haven't caught back up in like price and performance until probably this generation
But same thing with
or the
AMD.
last generation.
AMD came shot up on CPUs this family, I guess. Not
Yeah,
this generation, but this family. This
right.
branch of family, this
Probably
new,
like yeah, last generation basically.
basically put them
Yeah.
competitive. And dude, I'm like, if I would have had more faith in them, I probably would have bought way more stock
Yeah.
because like right now it's still very high, dude. Alright, I'll see you mofos later.